And we're live, folks, back with a new video, back with a new live. And today I'm going to talk about the lack of empathy for black people through religion and politics. What do I mean by this? Basically, the justifications of slavery and the feeling of guilt of what happens to black people and by other black people, like things like what am I trying to get? Yeah, I got it. But yeah, the things like people lack empathy for black people through politics and religion by having biblical justifications through for slavery and the destruction of Egypt. I'm going to talk about the destruction of Egypt too. The destruction of Egypt, aka Kemet, and also how political terms were used, to make black people feel guilty about bringing up what has happened to them over the years. Now I'm about to get into it. So first I'm gonna tackle the religious part. Tuned in. What's good, man? Hope you feeling great. How you been? Welcome to my lives already. But yeah, I'm about to get tuned in with this knowledge for real. But yeah, basically I'm gonna get into the religious aspect. Cause they talk about Egypt being plagued with different types of illnesses, floods, all types of destruction throughout Egypt because they were worshiping false gods and false entities, deities, or whatever. They worship man or whatnot. I'm not even gonna get into how that's false because I already went into that. I already got into that on one of my other lives how that's false. But I'm not even gonna touch on that right now. So we get like religion. They talk about the fall of Egypt, Kemet. That's there were floods, like different diseases that they caught because they weren't worshiping God, quote unquote. So with that being said, the lack of empathy for black people, the destruction of a civilization, an ancient civilization, uh, basically comes from the Bible. I hope my bad if I'm stumbling. Basically comes from the Bible. I'm trying to get everything out. It basically comes from the Bible when they talk about the destruction of Egypt and Kemet. And people actually believe in that. This is a lack of empathy of the actual destruction of Egypt, which came from Greco-Romans when they came in, took over, destroyed everything, took the nose off the Sphinx, decolorized whitewashed the pyramids and all that, took them away from their thrones, raped their women and all that. So, but they covered it all up with the Bible, and the destruction of Egypt came from false gods or worshiping man. And that's why God took out Egypt and came up with a flood, all these diseases for them and everything. But no, that wasn't the case. Greco-Romans decided to destroy everything in Egypt. And, my bad. My bad. Yeah, I lost my train of thought. And they decided to destroy everything in Egypt and covered up through religion in the Bible. And now, since black people follow Christianity, again, I'm not going to knock anybody that's religious. I don't do that. But look at the logic that behind that. You're giving them justification for the destruction of black people because of what the Bible says. Like, oh, people in Kemet were worshiping man. People in Kemet were worshiping false gods. And this is why God destroyed the earth. So you gave how does that make any logical sense? How does that make any logical sense? Like, oh, so you're content with the destruction of a civilization because of getting, quote unquote, went against God. That makes no sense at all. It make you feel bad, make you feel guilty, or making you hate your power, your history, making you hate that because it went against what this one religion has said about it. What? What's good? What's good, Amiri? But yeah, it goes against what this one religion is going about. And it's quote unquote demonic. It's basically the demonetization of black African spirituality. You feel me? They came up with something. They actually destroyed Egypt. Greco-Romans destroyed Egypt and Kemet. And they came up with a story for it and gave people justifications on why they destroyed this culture. And, people buy into that shit. But that's another thing. And I'm about to get into the political side of this too. They came up with political terms for black people to not feel bad, to feel bad about what has happened to them through civil rights and through racism. You feel me? Coming up with reverse racism, that term, to get black people to feel guilty about oppression, to get black people to feel guilty about the system destroying whatever they had. You know, again, black people to feel bad about them destroying Black Wall Street. Things of that nature. You feel me? But and yeah, the lack of this also plays out in the lack of empathy other black people have for black people and other races around the world have for black people. So with that being said, look at just open up. This is not to attack anybody. This is not attacking anybody's spiritual beliefs. This is not to attack anybody's religion. This is not to attack other people. This is not to attack other black people. You feel me? This is what they've come up with throughout the system to get us to feel bad and not want to make a change in the world and not to get ourselves out of the situations that we're put in by this system. My bad if I was rambling, but now I'm locked in, I'm tuned in. You feel me? This is the way they systematically designed this shit. To get us to feel bad about what happened to our history, to get us to feel not feel bad, not to get us to not feel some type of way, or to accept that they whitewashed history, to accept that they did all this stuff to us throughout history, and this shit was just recently. Civil rights was just recently. And they came up with these terms called reverse racism, like, oh, racism against white. That shit don't exist. I don't care what you talking about. That shit does not exist. You cannot be racist towards white people. In America, at least. Even in South Africa, they use quote unquote racism against white people because they came and colonized South Africa. And they're not with that shit no more. But yeah, you know, getting back on track. They came up with these terms to get black people to feel bad about feeling some type of way of what happened to them and not to bring it up and not to teach other people about this history. Don't worry, you got people like me here. So I got us. And there's other people in the world that got us too. And with that being said, I hope you guys learned something. This is just my perception of how I see things, how I see the world. Hope you guys are having an amazing day. Hope this day is filled with love. Hope you guys have do something, be safe on this New Year's Eve, New Year's Day. You feel me? And I just wanted you guys to take the time to listen to this video to get a broader perception of what is really going on in the world. I'm not teaching you. I'm not trying to steer you away from having religious beliefs. I'm not trying to convert you to having comedic, like ancient spiritual beliefs. No, I'm not trying to do none of that. I'm just trying to get you to see like what's going on, how stuff has been implemented. I'm not trying to get you to go against politics. None of that. I'm just telling you what has been going on throughout history and throughout the time period that we've been in, how they destroyed history, whitewashed history, try to get us to forget about it and just accept that shit. The way they treated us through like civil rights and slavery, and they're trying to get us to accept that shit. Coming up with different political terms like reverse racism, and come up with biblical justifications of why Kemet was destroyed. Because Greco-Romans went and destroyed that shit on their own. And just came out, oh, they went against God. And people bought that shit, bought into that shit. But yeah, you know, I'm about to get up out of here. I love you guys. I'm out. Peace. Ran over.